Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be profiling another variation on the Centurion deck, which is coming out very, very soon. This profile is going to be looking at the Horus cards, which is arguably going to be the most popular variant of the deck on release. Just because they're very easy level 8 bodies. If you get interrupted, it's very easy to still make the Legatia and keep going. So I'll get straight into the profile. I'm turning around my opinion on this variant. Previously, I was playing this variant a lot with Prosperity, and I was having a lot of issues with like hand size and the fact that the Horus cards obviously discard, but the Centurions don't really benefit from the discards. That's not a deck that really utilizes its graveyard like that for discards. But just for the kind of main Centurions, this hasn't changed. This is the same 16 cards as it has been in the other two profiles. It's 3 Primera, 3 Trudea, 1 Emmet, 3 Emblema, 3 Stand Up, a Faith, a Terraforming, and a Truth. Though again, as I've said every time, the Truth, it should just be the other trap card. I have not printed off the other proxy, but yeah, it just should be the other trap card. The other trap card is a lot better. Yeah, these are great. Then for the Horus cards, I'm on 3 Imseti, obviously being the best one, 1 Duomatef, 1 Happy, and 2 King Sarcophagus. So I'm not playing the other one with the really long name. I've gone for 3 separate names because what this does allow is it allows you one, if you were to, for example, if you were to get all 3 bodies into rotation, hypothetically on one turn or on a turn 1, you could use one of them to kind of help make Legatia if you are interrupted, and then the other 2 could easily make a Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord or something like that. Yeah, I just think three kind of works out for numbers. You can always use one for something, and then the other 2 can always make a rank 8. But then depending on the hand, you might not even want to discard anything for Sarcophagus. It might just be making Imseti and getting the Imseti to the field. Just depends on obviously what your hand is. And this engine does pair very nicely with this, just a small Resonator engine, which is just 2 Vision and a Crimson. As I said, the deck does not really like discarding cards as such, the Centurions at least. So I wanted to play something that would benefit from being discarded, and that's going to be Vision Resonator. Now, this might not be the most ideal choice, but Vision works really well with Imseti specifically. So if it's Imseti discarding Vision, that's really nice. Otherwise, yeah, Imseti is it's currently the only dark level 5 or higher monster that we do play. There will be worlds where you can actually normal summon the Vision Resonator because, for example, Emblema can do all of the Centurion things without a normal summon, so you could normal summon the Vision. But otherwise, just having Imseti and Vision in rotation, you just have that repeatable Synchro 10 or Link 2 option if you do get them both into rotation. So unfortunately, the Vision stuff with the Centurions doesn't really help you at all. But this is just something that I'm testing. When it works, it works. And it does provide a nice discard. So and with the Centurions, if you're discarding a card for Stand Up and you have the Vision, you could definitely discard that, get the Crimson, get back the Vision or one from deck, and you're helping to deck thin, but also just maintaining your hand size. So far, just this little 3-card engine. I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, more testing would I guess see if that's required or not. Now for the non-engine, and we only play max rarity non-engine, which is of course Premium Gold. We've got Nib, Droll, Ash, Imperm, and then obviously these don't come in Premium Gold, which is a shame, but we've got Talents and Thrust. So plenty of non-engine space. Takes the deck to 41 cards. You could easily take out a Thrust for 40 if you wanted to, or a Talents, doesn't really matter. Again, the non-engine is just going to be dependent on what the format is looking like. Droll potentially rising in popularity again with Vanadium seeing quite a bit of success, but yeah, that's just the non-engine. It could be whatever. I really like having Nib because the main combo, I mean, yes, obviously you do end on like the Calamity Lock, and that's obviously a very oppressive combo, but I really like having something like Nib going first because, if your combo does get interrupted, having your opponent still needs to break your board and set up a new board, and they can't really play around Nib very well in doing that. The extra deck, there's a couple of things that I'm not super happy with some of the choice. I mean, there's cards that you could play. There's cards that I'm not playing that you could. That would be good to be in here. I think the 2 Legatia is very important. The Crimson, the Calamity, and the Cosmic Blazer are all very important. The Lilith, I still like it. It doesn't necessarily need to be played. Yeah, the Baron I think is very important because this, with Imseti and Vision Resonator, is very easy to do. I'm playing Chaos Angel as a second Synchro 10. This is probably something that's not super necessary because it's only going to come up when Vision and Imseti are both in rotation. But as a turn 3 thing, this feels really nice in theory. Yeah, it does feel very nice in theory. So I'm gonna keep it there for now. I've also got one Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, just as a Synchro 8 option with the 2 lower level Centurions. Then for Xyz monsters, this should be Photon Lord. I don't have one, so I'm just playing something instead. Then I've got Dingirsu, Typhon, and Zeus, just as kind of other, obviously these aren't rank 8s, but Ding and Photon Lord are my kind of 2 rank 8s of choice, and then Typhon, Zeus. And then I'm playing SP and Dark, the Dark Charmer. This might not be. This was just another alternative if I didn't play Chaos Angel. I'm playing Chaos Angel and Dark, but really it's just kind of like a second alternative thing to do with a Vision Resonator. Obviously, you can also just make Dark using like Imseti, but Dark sounds decent in theory. I like the idea of Dark taking something to make SP Little Knight. Dark even taking an SP Little Knight sounds really crazy as well. So there's a few different things you could do with Dark. I think just it does have a little bit of a place in the format, but this is obviously definitely very cuttable. Hope Harbinger wouldn't be amiss in the extra deck space there. Red Supernova Dragon wouldn't be terrible either. But there's just a few other options. But yeah, Dark doesn't have to be the cards you play, but I don't mind it. But now I'm going to do some test hands to show you what that can do. Okay, so for the first test hand, we have Duomotif, Imseti, Vision, Tactics, and Ash. Okay, so obviously this does not give us access to the Centurion portion of the deck, but having Imseti and Vision and Duomotif, like these are all fine cards to kind of use here. We might even draw into it with Imseti, so we'll go Imseti, pitch the Vision. That's going to add the King Sarcophagus to the hand, and then we will be drawing a card before triggering the Vision Resonator. So we'd love to get not a draw, that's okay. Then we will search for Crimson Gaia. Now we can activate King Sarcophagus. We'll discard the Duomotif and use it to send the Happy to the graveyard. Again, looking at a hand like this is where maybe something like a Coach King Giant Trainer could actually be a decent inclusion in the extra deck. Yep, certainly could be a decent option. Because obviously we've got no access to the Centurions. Drawing 3 usually you'd think would get us there. We'll go Crimson Gaia here as well. Grab Vision. And then we've got Crimson Gaia, add back Vision from graveyard every turn now if we need to. We've got the Horus monsters in the graveyard, so we'll go Imseti first. We'll just bring back the first one. We'll summon out the Vision, and we can synchro straight off into Baron. Just to have an interruption there. We've also got the 2 other Horus monsters that can come out. And we can very easily just turn these into a Photon Lord or a Dingirsu to protect the board. Yeah, so obviously that's Photon Lord, or just any rank 8 there. So we've got our rank 8, we've got a Baron. The talents obviously don't do anything unless we get interrupted, but we've got Ash and Droll that potentially enough to survive. Obviously on the next turn, we can keep pushing with the Horus and adding back Vision to go into like Chaos Angel. So obviously no Centurion combo, but between the two other engines, it still does give us some kind of sustainability. The fact that those two engines, again, just loop themselves, you know, provided you've got extract monsters to do something with them, is nice. Might not be enough to kind of win us the game or anything, but without seeing Centurions, that's pretty decent. Especially backing it up with the two hand traps like Ash and Droll, like that feels pretty good. Okay, we've got Primera, King Sarcophagus, Faith of Centurion, Tactics, and Stand Up. So, okay, this is where obviously having like the King Sarcophagus is interesting in that, like, yeah, we could discard cards. We've got extra pieces of the Centurions. We could always discard the Faith. The Faith does the same thing in the graveyard that it does in the brackets hand effect. So it's an easy discard of King Sarcophagus. One thing we could kind of do here just to kind of protect our Centurion play from going through, it's going to cost a lot of cards, so this is where it's an issue, but we can go King Sarcophagus. We'll discard the Faith, which is the most obvious thing to discard first. We can put the Imseti in the graveyard. We can do that again. We'll discard the Talents. Yeah, Talents is fine. Or the, obviously, Primera, but we will be sending the last card with the Stand Up anyway. We'll put Happy into the graveyard here. And this can get us to a Photon Lord before we even do anything important. Like I said, it's going to cost us our whole hand, but I mean, if we are able to Calamity Lock, then we do just win the game. So we'll go Stand Up here. We'll get rid of Primera, and we shall place True Deer into the scale. No, well, not True Deer. No, it's head in scale. We'll place the Primera, and then we'll go Primera effect to summon. Primera will then search for True Deer, which we can normal summon, bring it back to the spell trap zone, grab out the Emmet 6 and summon, and turn those into the Locatia, and the Locatia is going to draw us a card, and in the end phase we will get the Primera back. So that was fine. It's the combo, it's protected, that's all very well and good. Like I said, it's very expensive on the hand, which was my issue with the Horus cards initially. But as well, again, when I was testing the Horus cards very initially with the deck, I was playing Prosperity, and it's not a good fit because you don't get to draw back off this, especially if you used him sitting in the hand, you don't get to draw back, and so you do end up with nothing in your hand. At least we get to draw back there off Legatia. If we had the Imseti, obviously we get to draw back off that as well, so we're not just discarding all of our cards, but you know, we open King Sarcophagus, not the Imseti, but we're still able to get to that Calamity combo with some resilience to hand traps through the Horus cards. And then, of course, the Horus cards, they will just come back the next turn if that Galaxy Photon Lord gets outed there. But yeah, Coach King Giant Trainer, a consideration for the extra deck for sure as well. We've got Crimson Gaia, Imseti, Ash, Primera, and Happy. So we can protect the Primera with Baron here. We'll go Imseti, pitching itself, and Happy to grab the King Sarcophagus. We'll get to draw a card. King Sarcophagus, nice. All right, we will go King Sarcophagus first. We can bring back Imseti. We can go Crimson Gaia. We can add Vision Resonator. Which we are very free to summon, make Baron. And now we are off to the races. We can normal the Primera. Use its effect to grab the Stand Up, activate the Stand Up. Really, we can obviously, we've got to discard something. We can discard the King Sarcophagus just to hold the Ash. We've already got the Sarcophagus here. That's going to give us Trudia, which we can summon, use its effect to bring itself back and get M at 6. Which we can summon. We can make Legacia here. Draw a card. Okay, so stand up is follow up. That's nice enough. We obviously still have Happy to come back. The other thing we can do if we want to is, we can obviously bring back the Happy just so it's, stick to the board there. We can use King Sarcophagus. We can pitch the stand up or the Ash. We'll pitch the stand up here. We can throw Duamatef into the grave as well and bring that back also. So we could leave this like this just to be a nuisance for our opponent. Obviously the two level 8s are, affecting our opponent's ability to interact with the board. Well, not affecting their ability to, but it's going to come at a cost. In the end phase, we get back to Primera, and this is a decent board. Obviously, we have the Calamity combo backed up by Baron. We've got crazy follow-up with King Sarcophagus and Crimson Gaia. We've got the Horus monsters on the field here, drawing us cards, adding us cards back from the graveyard. So the follow-up there is awesome with Happy. Or obviously we can interrupt our opponent's graveyard too if we need to do that. But yeah, that was a solid test hand. We'll do one more. Yeah, I think my opinion of this variant has significantly turned around. I think it was just a matter of prosperity. In my initial testing, like I said, prosperity was in that deck, and I kept trying to draw cards. Obviously can't draw, and I found it so expensive, so I couldn't see the value in the Horus cards. I think adding in the Vision Resonator engine is useful also, just so that you've got something to discard. It's only obviously there's only 2 copies of the Vision to discard, but yeah, I think it's fine. And they just add a little bit of extra something to the deck. All right, so we've got King Sarcophagus, Talents, Emblema, Ash, and Primera. So again, we can kind of work towards the same end board as what we saw previously. It's going to be something along the lines of Sarcophagus to set up. So like, for example, if we were to discard 2 cards here, the Talents and the Primera, to throw Imseti and Happy into the graveyard. We can set up something similar to the first, the second test hand, I think it was. Obviously these can both come back and make that Photon Lord, and then we are free to just go straight off into Emblema. We can use the effect to place. It doesn't really matter. We can use either effect. We don't need our normal summon for anything else. Place Primera effect. By not using a normal summon here, it makes our opponent have to consider what could be that last card in hand. We can use it to grab Trudia. We can normal it. We can use its effect. Sorry, what am I doing? That's not true. That was not the card to add. We meant to add the field spell. Add stand up, of course. And this is where we go. Stand up, pitch Ash. Get Trudia, summon, pull back. Emmet, summon. And we get to synchro into the Legacia. We can draw back a card, and in the end phase we can get Primera. Yep, there we go. So obviously same as what we saw before. We've got the Horus follow-up. Again, we could do something similar where, like here, before we go end phase, we could pitch the Primera to get the last Horus monster. And if you were to opt to do that, so hypothetically, if we were to do this and get the Duamatef out of the deck, we probably don't do that in this order then, the Horus monsters. I think we'd rather have the Duamatef under the Xyz and have the Happy sit on the field. Happy just represents a lot more. So if you prefer ending with like Horus on the field and no cards in hand, with this like specific example, then yeah, I'd be aiming to keep the Horus, the Happy on the field just to add back, because we went through all 3 Primera in that combo, but like adding back Emblema is crazy. Adding back like Talents or Primera or anything there is nice. So that's probably what I would do if I was to use the whole hand like that. because this represents follow-up. The Primavera does represent follow-up as well, but I think having the Happy on the field kind of just, makes your opponent think again about how they're going to navigate your board there. But that'll be it for this one. I am much more sold on this variation than I was initially. This was the variant I tested first, but again, like I said, Prosperity, not the card to play. I think it's a lot cleaner. Definitely kind of does a lot of the same things that the Super Heavy Samurai build does in terms of like resilience to hand traps. It doesn't add the consistency, which the Samurais do, but when you're playing a deck that's all one card engines, it's already fairly consistent. We could alleviate that by maybe playing Coach King Giant Trainer in the extra deck, just so that the Horus cards can maybe get us to the Centurions. But that would definitely cost a lot of hand involved. We obviously draw it back with coaching, but it would have to require some testing. Maybe we cut the Dark, maybe we cut the Lulu Willith, maybe we cut the Chaos Angel. I mean, there's certainly things that could be cut in order to test the Coach King. Certainly I'm going to do that, but otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. I think I'm going to profile the Bestial version of the deck next. Otherwise, catch you in the next one.